All right, so we're diving into Swim Coach's Bible too. It's huge.
It is, yeah.
What's the game plan for this deep dive?
Well, you want to be a better coach.
Of course.
This book, it's like a cheat sheet from the best coaches out there. We'll unpack their secrets.
Perfect. Let's jump in. First up, I see a lot about developmental stages.
Super important. You can't coach a 12-year-old like an Olympian.
Right. So how do we tailor our approach?
This book breaks it down. For example, teenage girls, they face unique challenges.
Like what?
Puberty, right? It's not just physical, it messes with their heads too. The book says we got to build them up, make them confident.
Makes sense. So it's about more than just lap times.
Exactly. It's about the whole R at athlete. And that leads into team culture, another big thing this book hits on.
Yeah, I saw some amazing stories in there.
Like Jim Ellis, right? Built a powerhouse team in a tough neighborhood, focused on character support, all that.
Inspiring stuff. And then there's the story about Samantha Arsenal.
Olympic medalist, gave up her spot so a teammate could shine in the relay.
Wow, that's dedication. Sounds like Jim Ellis' new talent isn't everything.
Totally. It's respect, trust, believing in each other. But this book isn't all warm fuzzies, you know? It gets into the science of swimming, too.
Oh yeah, the chapter on biomechanics and stuff. Honestly, that stuff kind of goes over my head sometimes.
I get it, but think about it, like understanding how water resistance affects a swimmer
Okay.
can help you tweak their form, make them way more efficient. Remember Phelps beating Avage by a hair?
That epic 100 fly. Who could forget?
That tiny win? All about reducing drag, streamlining, all that science stuff.
So it's actually practical, not just theory.
Absolutely. Helps you coach better, get those tiny improvements that add up.
Love that. Then there's the mental game, what they call the X factor. Is this like giving pep talks?
It's bigger than that. This book says mental toughness is a skill. You got to train it like any stroke.
Okay, how?
Teach them to focus on the process, not just the medal. View obstacles as challenges.
Building resilience, basically.
Exactly. And this book goes deep on planning, too, like periodization. Ever heard of that?
That sounds intimidating.
It's just about understanding that training has phases. Build endurance first, then speed, then refine technique.
So it's not constant grinding.
Nope. This book lays out the phases, even has sample plans, so your swimmers peak at the right time.
This is like a Bible, packed with practical advice. But we got to remember, swimming should be F-U-N.
A huge GE point, especially for kids. Bob Still, he's a coach in the book, has awesome ideas.
Like what?
Beat the clock, where they race their own times, or Tour de Championship, a mini meet during practice.
Fun. Keeps things fresh. Prevents burnout.
You got it. Speaking of fresh, let's talk strokes. This book dedicates a whole section to each one.
I'm guessing it gets super technical.
It does, but it's explained really well. Breaks down each element, like body position, hand entry, all that.
Helpful even if I'm not a stroke expert myself.
Totally. It's loaded with drills and tips, no matter your swimmer's skill level.
So it's not just knowing the perfect stroke, it's knowing how to teach it.
Bingo. And swimming's always evolving, right? The book even talks about how freestyle has, like, 3 styles now.
3 styles. Okay, I gotta hear this.
It's hip-driven, shoulder-driven, and body-driven. Each one's good for different races.
Interesting. So it's not one size fits all?
Nope. You gotta adapt, be versatile. This book's not just teaching, it's teaching you how to think like a coach.
I like that. Makes you more than just an instructor, right?
Right. Now, something else cool. Underwater kicking. They call it the 5th stroke in here.
5th stroke. Never
Yeah.
thought of it like that, but it makes sense.
Crucial for starts, turns, everything. And the book has a tip I'd never considered. Measure their underwater kick distance.
Seriously. I gotta try that.
It's those little details that make a difference. And speaking of details, we can't forget dry-land training.
Ugh, sometimes it feels like a chore.
I hear ya. But this book makes it relevant. It talks about the kinetic chain, meaning...
Wait, kinetic chain.
Yeah.
That term keeps popping up.
It means your body works as a whole, not just isolated muscles. So dry land should mimic swimming movements.
No. So instead of just lifting weights, we should be doing stuff that actually looks like swimming.
You got it. It's about transferring that strength to the pool.
This book is blowing my mind. I
Yeah.
thought I knew a lot about coaching, but this is next level.
We're just getting started. There's still so much to unpack. Next up, communication strategies and the mental game.
Can't wait. This is already pure gold.
Welcome back. We're diving deeper into Swim Coach's Bible too. Still so much to uncover.
I'm ready. Last time we were just starting to talk about communication. What's this book say about that?
Well, Lanny Lantroop, he has a whole chapter on positive communication. Key takeaway: respect. Make your swimmers feel safe to speak up.
So Not just barking orders on deck, huh?
Nope. It even suggests using a team contract, but not like a rule book. More like getting the swimmers involved and setting values and stuff.
So they own it, feel accountable. I like that.
Right, builds trust. But also, it's how you say things, not just what. Land Troop says you gotta be real, you know? Kids can smell a phony.
True, gotta walk the walk. The book also mentions using stories.
Powerful stuff. Remember the flea trainer?
Refresh my memory.
They train fleas to jump, right? But only so high. After a while, even though they could jump higher, they don't.
Because that's what they're used to.
Exactly. It's about self-imposed limits, how we hold ourselves back sometimes.
Wow, great analogy. Swimmers can relate to that.
Jay, stories stick with you. Okay, switching gears a bit, let's talk training splinters.
Ooh, yeah. Exciting stuff, but gotta train them right.
This chapter is by David March and Bill Pilchuk. They know their stuff. Big thing, spot potential early, but don't go crazy with sprint-only stuff too young.
So finding the fastest kid and just pushing them, bad idea.
Yep, gotta build well-rounded athletes first. Focus on technique, minimizing resistance. These help any Y swimmer, not just sprinters.
So even if they're naturally fast, don't skip the basics.
Exactly. Strong foundation first. Then, as their bodies mature, you can get more sprint-specific.
Makes sense. Any cool techniques in there?
Oh yeah, tons. Like variable intensity kicking, mixing up the pace and resistance.
So they're strong and have stamina.
You got it. And dryland's huge for sprinters.
Just weights, though.
Nah, gotta be explosive. Plyometrics, medicine ball throws, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Need that power off the blocks, underwater kicks.
Exactly. They even talk about how to AG strokes for sprinting. It's not just swimming harder, it's swimming smarter.
Example.
Shortening the stroke, faster turnover, stuff like that. They use examples from top sprinters like Fred Boustet.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
He made big changes to his technique. Those hundredths of a second matter.
Fascinating. So sprinting's one end. What about distance training?
Another whole chapter. This one's by John Urbanchek, coached some legends. Big focus. Periodization. Remember that.
Kinda, sorta. Remind me.
It's like planning your training in cycles. You wouldn't run a marathon by sprinting every day, right?
Makes sense.
Same with swimming. Gradually build endurance, have rest periods, peak at the right time.
So for distance specifically, what's key?
Urbanchek's all about balance. Push them hard, but let them recover too. Tough to get right.
How do you know if you're pushing too much?
Experience, mostly. Watch your swimmers, see how they're doing mentally, A&D, physically.
That's a lot of observation, not just following a plan blindly.
Right. Each swimmer's different. Urbanchek stresses that. Individualized plans are key.
I was just thinking about that story from the book. Grant Hackett, Olympics 2000.
Dude had a viral infection, still won gold in the 1500.
Mental toughness at its finest.
Right. Urbanchek talks about that a lot too. Staying motivated during those long practices, having a supportive team culture helps.
So even in solo events, team matters.
Huge EE. All right, ready for a change of scenery. Open water time.
Ooh. Yeah. So different, though. Can you even prep for that in pool?
Terry McKeever, she coached the U.S. Olympic women, has some thoughts. Yeah, creative.
How so?
She does drills to mimic open water, like other swimmers splashing to make turbulence, even dumping cold water on them.
Whoa, hardcore.
Gotta be ready for anything. And it's not just physical, it's mental too.
Makes sense. Out there, it's a whole different beast.
Right. This book also gets into open water strategy. Positioning, drafting, it's like chess.
Wow, never thought of it like that.
McKeever says practice that stuff. Swimming in packs. Obstacles.
Gotta think tactically, not just swim fast.
You got it. There's also insights from Mark Workington, first American to qualify for Olympic marathon swimming.
Impressive.
He's big on mental game,
Yeah.
staying focused, making decisions when you're exhausted.
Easy to panic out there, I bet.
Yep. He talks about visualization, breaking the race down into smaller bits.
So you don't get overwhelmed by the whole thing.
Exactly. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. Okay, from open water, let's shift to IM training.
Ooh, the ultimate test.
Yeah.
Gotta be good at everything.
Dave Salo, he's coached some IM stars, gives us the goods here. First thing, all 4 strokes gotta be equally strong. And the transitions.
Can't have a weak link, that's for sure.
Right. Salo says work with specialists for each stroke, do specific drills, but then gotta bring it all together.
Those transitions seem so crucial, those few seconds between strokes.
Make or break the race. Salo recommends visualization, practicing them over and over.
In your head.
You can even practice on land. Get that muscle memory going.
Shaving off milliseconds every little bit helps.
Yeah. He also gives examples of IM-specific sets, like alternating drills with full IM swims.
Pushing them to the limit, then making them put it all together.
Exactly. Build that stamina, both physical and mental.
IM's like solving a puzzle.
It is. Makes it super fun to coach, too. Okay, enough individual stuff. Time for the best part, relays.
Yes, team effort, so exciting.
This chapter's by David Durden, Cal's head coach. He knows relays. First thing, master those starts.
Those are intense. Every fraction of a second counts.
He breaks it all down. Foot placement, arm swing, timing, even different types of starts depending on the swimmer.
So much to think about, and it happens so fast.
Right. Then the exchanges.
Always look so chaotic, but the best teams make it look smooth.
That's the goal. Durden's got drills for that too. Improving reaction time, timing, momentum transfer.
Like what?
One's practicing exchanges with eyes closed.
What? How does that even work?
You gotta feel the touch, react instantly.
Whoa, that's next level.
It's about building those instincts. And don't underestimate video analysis either.
I love using video. See everything so clearly.
Essential tool these days. But relays aren't just about technique, Durden says.
There's the mental side again, huh?
Huge. Gotta build trust between teammates. They gotta believe in each other.
More than just individual talent. It's got to be a team.
Exactly. Durden suggests team building stuff, open communication.
So everyone's on the same page, literally.
Right. When a relay team clicks, it's magic. This deep dive is making me appreciate how much goes into coaching.
Me too. It's not just standing there yelling, go faster.
So much more. It's science, it's communication, it's understanding your swimmers.
You're like a teacher, mentor, cheerleader, all rolled into one.
And always learning yourself too. This book's a great reminder of that.
Can't wait for part 3. This is amazing.
We'll cover even more. Dry land, communication, mental prep, and some of our takeaways, how we'll use all this stuff.
I'm taking notes like crazy. This is gold.
Glad to hear it. See you next time.
Back for more coaching gold. Part 3 of our Swim Coaches Bible 2 Deep Dive.
We've saved the best for last. Dry land, communication, and the mental game. The stuff that really elevates your coaching.
Awesome. Let's hit it. First up, dry land. Rin Gambetta, he's the expert in this chapter. It's more than just lifting weights right now.
Way more. He talks about training movements, not just muscles. Remember that kinetic chain idea?
Yeah, you keep mentioning that. Still trying to wrap my head around it, though.
Just gonna give it like this. When you swim, it's your whole body working together, right? Not just your biceps or whatever.
Right.
So dry land should be the same. Build strength that actually helps you in the water.
Functional strength, yeah. Not just for show.
You got it. And just like in the pool, every swimmer needs a different dry land plan. No cookie cutter stuff.
Of course. A sprinter and a distance swimmer, totally different needs.
Exactly. Got to tailor it to ECH athlete. And one thing Gambetta really stresses is core strength.
I've noticed that's a big theme in this book.
Yeah.
Why is core as so important for swimming?
It's your foundation, literally. Stability, power transfer, injury prevention. A strong core connects your whole body.
Like the engine room, powering everything else.
Perfect analogy. The book even has specific exercises like this core module he uses for warm-ups, walking rotations with a medicine ball, stuff like that.
Sounds tough, but I can see how that would activate everything.
And there are sample programs for different phases of training too. Strength endurance, speed, power, it's all in there.
This is so helpful. I'm already rethinking my whole dry land approach. Okay, let's circle back to communication. What else does this book have to say about that?
Landtroop, the guy who wrote that chapter, he's big on active listening. Make your swimmers feel heard, you know?
So not just talking aid them, but actually listening to what they have to say.
Right. And your nonverbal cues matter too. Body language, tone of voice. Got to be present, engaged.
It's all about building that connection, that trust.
Yep. And keep it simple, especially with younger kids. There's a story in here about a swimmer who was overwhelmed by his old coach. Too much info all at once.
Information overload happens to the best of us.
Right. Gotta meet them where they're at. Oh, and remember how we talked about stories?
Yeah, the fleet trainer.
Landtroop says use stories as much as possible. Makes your coaching more memorable, relatable.
I'm a big fan of stories. Helps them connect with what you're teaching.
Totally. All right, ready for the grand finale. The mental game.
The stuff champions are made of.
You got it.
Yeah.
And who better to learn from than Cesar Cielo, Olympic gold medalist? His chapter is all about mental prep and visualization.
I remember reading about how he visualized his whole Olympic race beforehand. Amazing.
It's powerful stuff. He says mental training is just as important as physical training. Got to control those negative thoughts, replace them with positive ones.
So it's not just about thinking happy thoughts. It's about actively training your mind.
Exactly. He also talks about having a purpose, a reason why you're competing. He tells this story about giving $100 to a guy pushing his belongings up a hill in Beijing before his big race.
What? Why?
It was his way of releasing tension, reminding himself there's more to life than just winning.
Wow, that's deep, putting things in perspective.
Right. It's about finding that inner drive, that fire that fuels you.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. We've learned about stroke technique, dry land, communication, the mental game. It's all connected.
It's holistic coaching, treating your swimmers as people first, athletes second.
Couldn't agree more. Building relationships, creating a positive environment. That's what it's all about.
And never stop learning yourself. This book's just the beginning.
I'm so fired up to apply all this stuff.
Mm.
This book is a game changer for any coach.
I'd say it's a must-read.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Swim Coach's Bible, too. Hope you all learned as much as we did. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep inspiring those swimmers. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.